now, here's a guy who has never won a congeniality award at any radio station anywhere.
I will fight you in the street.
It's the Eric Zane Show podcast with your host, Eric Zane.
Thank you, Johnny. Hey, welcome to the Eric Zane Show podcast. How are you? Yes, the show happens. What you're hearing right now, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, happens live. And then everything that comes flying out of my face, I'm recording it. And then I publish it. Apple Podcasts, any other of your favorite podcasting platforms. You just search my name, Eric Zane Show Podcast online. This will pop up. Or you can always get it at ericzaneshow.com. Everything is downloadable to listen at your leisure. In fact, it would be the most helpful if you do have the opportunity to actually subscribe to more than one feed, to actually subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and what a CastBox, whatever it may be. Well, each one of those times that you hit subscribe, I get an internet point. But whatever you do, I really, really appreciate your time. If you could throw 5 stars at me, too, that would be awesome. Yes. Okay, I've been spending my time lately listening to a particular podcast. And as you know, I've said it many times, I can't stand it when podcasts waste my time. And I've found very little success listening to any one thing that I really like. I really want to listen to that. I enjoyed to some degree Spittin' Chicklets, which is a hockey podcast, but it's very entertaining. It's kind of like guy talk between former hockey players, and I don't know. I just like the vibe of it. So I like that one, but I'm not like dying to hear it. There was a podcast called Tuesdays with Stories with Joe List and Mark Norman that I like. Funny, but again, I kind of wore out on it. Like, whatever. I like listening to Stu just to see what's going on in his world. It's always good to hear Stu's take on things, as misguided as he is with everything that flies out of his stupid face. I love him dearly. And then, of course, Threads podcast. Those guys are always giving me a hard time about not listening to it, and you're right. But I was like, okay, I've been watching Mindhunter recently. That's on Netflix. That's a serial killer show. It's a true story. 2 characters are Holden Ford and Bill Tench, the main ones. And those are both composites of real people that created FBI profiling. Years ago, there wasn't a lot of that. No one really knew what to do with serial killers. Well, they came up with the FBI of a way to profile them and try to come up with who could be the bad guy by interviewing serial killers that were incarcerated. You know, whoever it may be. Ed Kemper, he's a big player in this show. And that's all true, so they made this show. In fact, John Douglas, one of the 2 real profilers in real life, he's written several books, and one of his books was called Mindhunter. So this is that story. All true. So that's been on my brain lately because I've been watching the show. So then while doing shuttle work, I was searching for something to listen to. And I came across a podcast called Serial Killers. It's just called Serial Killers. And it is a once-a-week podcast. And it's not a huge investment. It's about 40 minutes a pop, once a week. And I appreciate that. So if you're into true crime, like a lot of people are these days, this is not for the faint of heart. I just learned about Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. Wow. Man, I'm driving around and I'm listening to this shit. I'm like, God, this is pretty dark. I have to shut it off after a little while. The 2 that do the narration are a little cheeky in their commentary about serial killers, which I thought was a little bit disrespectful considering that hundreds of people have lost their lives in the stories that I've listened to. Something else popped into my head while I was listening to these shows. You don't hear about serial killers like you used to. Hell, at various times there was enormous swaths of people that were falling victim to serial killers in the 70s and 80s, and even beyond. And so I got to thinking, it's like, when was the last time you heard about a serial killer? And so I looked it up, and it is on the decline. Serial killing that doesn't mean that the serial killers aren't out there. It's just they're not killing as much. They're taking time off. And a lot of people are saying that it isn't so much that the serial killers aren't killing anymore. It's they're being caught before they kill more. There was one in West Michigan, Jeffrey Willis, just recently. He killed that young lady who was working at the store in Muskegon. And then he also killed a young lady who was out running. Pardon me for not remembering the names off the top of my head. And then the third victim, he had her in the car, and she jumped out of the moving car, provided a vivid description, and that was the beginning of the end for old Jeffrey Willis. But I was reading that a lot of the times that one of the reasons why they're not able to kill more, they're caught early on before they can kill 20, 30, 40 people or whatever, is technology. It's easier to determine what is what with cameras everywhere, with cell phones, with DNA evidence. That's how Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, was caught, because of DNA evidence. He was thought to be a suspect at one period of time, and then so they collected DNA from him. And then years later, when the technology was perfected, they were able to pin it on him, and he was, in fact, the guy who killed. I mean, he killed dozens of people that they know of. This guy killed so many people, he doesn't even remember the first person he ever killed. Described as pure evil. It's a little weird when people throw that term around, pure evil. It's like, if you say someone's evil, that means that they have to be possessed by an evil spirit, by something has consumed them. At least that's the way I feel. But my God, I could only take so much of it. I'm driving around, I'm sitting there like panicking to myself because I'm listening to stories about serial killers murdering people. I'm like, oh my God, thank God you turn it off before people get in the damn van. All right. Last night was a drive basketball game, and they did awesome again. They now have 3 wins in a row, and I've mentioned this guy before from Alabama. Dante Hall is his name. I cannot believe the dunks that this guy does. It is just so much power as he comes hammering down on the rim. And one of the things about this guy, Dante Hall, is he so throws his body into the air, and oftentimes he'll be so high up that his feet will like hit the shoulders of a guy who's defending him, and then that'll make his body go sideways, and then gravity takes over, and he goes smashing down onto the court so hard, I think he's dead. And I'm always like, oh my God. And then he just kind of like lays there for half a second, and then he gets up. He's like he's a machine. The hits this guy takes when he crashes down on the floor. And yesterday he comes down hard. He gets up a little gingerly, but no big deal, back to work. And so the half ends. A few minutes later, halftime ends, and he's getting ready to walk back out on the court, and he walks in front of me. And I go, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Yeah, why?" I go, You crash down onto the floor with such vicious momentum. How are you not like paralyzed? And he just laughs, but really, really great. In fact, he threw down a dunk, and the spotter next to me, Sean, is always giving me a hard time because I say things after the dunks, and he just laughs. And I referred to it as his dunk as a two-handed Dante Hall with the two-handed cram. And because I said cram, he just started to laugh. He goes, no one says cram. So I go, oh yeah? Well, get a load of the next one. And no joke, like 30 seconds later, Dante Hall again stuffed it home. And all right, might have been trying to make him laugh on this one. Referred to it as a two a two-fister. Yeah. He threw it down with two hands, so, yeah, you know. Whatever. What the hell? I'm probably going to lose that job, too. Yesterday was the New Hampshire primary. So you got, the usual suspects going for it. Biden sucked again. He left town halfway through the day because he realized he was doing so shitty. And Joe Biden ends up leaving. He goes to South Carolina trying to drum up support there. I think he finished a distant 5th. So, he, in my opinion, he can't be happy with that. It was down to the wire, though, as you had Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders. It was back and forth. Bernie Sanders ends up getting. Hang on a second. This is Joe Biden.
From the first 2 of 50 states. Two
All
of
right.
them.
This is Biden talking to his. He's actually in South Carolina. He's actually left New Hampshire. They haven't even finished the vote tabulation. He already knows he got his ass kicked. So he's speaking to these people. Looks to be about 100 people in South Carolina, and this is what he says. This is what you say when you get your ass kicked and you try to put a spin on it.
We just heard from the first 2 of 50 states. 2 of them. Not all the nation, not half the nation, not a quarter of the nation, not 10%. 2. Now where I come from,
I like how everybody's like, yeah, it's only 2. There's only 2 states where we got the shit kicked out of us. Yeah.
Opening bell. Not the closing.
Okay.
Where I come from, that's the opening bell.
Yeah, where you come from.
Not the closing bell. And the fight to end Donald Trump's presidency is just beginning.
Yeah. So this guy is getting hammered. Also feeling the pinch during the primary yesterday. Let's see, was Andrew Yang. I actually like this guy. He seems to be a nice dude. And but he had to end it. He's out. Andrew Yang talking to his supporters yesterday after it fell apart.
I've been campaigning. I've had supporters say to me, "Your campaign helped me out of a depression. Thank you."
Yeah.
Now they don't know yet that he's pulling out.
Working on this campaign has made me a better person.
I like when he's squirting whipped cream into people's mouths.
Because of you. Your campaign brought my family together. Your campaign got me excited about politics for the first time. These are all things that people have said to me in the past days, and they are the reasons why I am so incredibly proud of this campaign and what we've accomplished together.
But because I only got 3% of the vote, I'm getting the hell out of here.
We have touched and improved millions of lives and moved this country we love so much in the right direction.
They always say that. No, you haven't. You tried, you did great, but you haven't moved anybody.
Work left to be done. You know, I am the math guy, and it is clear tonight from the numbers that we are not going to win this race. I am not someone who wants to accept donations and support in a race that we will not win. And so tonight, I am announcing I am suspending my campaign for president.
We love you, Andrew!
Thank you, I love you too. Thank you, New Hampshire.
All right, so no Yang. Tulsi Gabbard also stunk. She got 3% of the vote as well, and but she's hanging around. Meanwhile, it was between freaking Bernie Sanders and Mayor Pete. And then, at the end of the day, it looks like Sanders with 2% of the vote more than Mayor Pete. And that Amy Klobuchar, she actually did very, very well, got 20%. So I think it was 26%, 24%, and 20%. Biden sucks. And, well, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. Is that what the Democrats want? In fact, Biden, earlier in the day, I was curious why this was. The Washington Post, they did a story, an article about something that Biden said. He made a joke to a person who was in attendance in New Hampshire and who had a question for him. And the question was from his stemming from his performance in Iowa. So this lady asks him a legitimate question, and then he asked her, "Have you ever been to a caucus?" And she said, "Yeah." And then he referred to her as a lying, dog-faced pony soldier, which was a reference to a movie, and he was joking when he said it. But it seems like this person who asked the question got really butthurt about it later. The lady said, "I asked Joe Biden a fair question. His immediate response was to question whether I had ever attended a caucus. In my nervousness in the presence of the former vice president, I nodded yes. She had not been to a caucus, she said, but she also accused Biden of insulting her, writing, in reality is totally irrelevant whether I've been to a caucus or not. Joe Biden has been performing incredibly poorly in this race." And so she kind of got like mad about it because Biden, I mean, to me, he was kidding. It was a joke. Listen.
So you're arguably the candidate with the greatest advantage in this race. You've been the vice president. You weren't burdened down by the impeachment trials. Or in the participation. So how do you explain the performance in Iowa, and why should the voters believe that you can win the national election?
It's a good question. Number one, Iowa's a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying, dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay, she got massively offended by that.
Look, fat.
And has now made a big deal about it. I'm with Biden on this one. Shut up.
It was a little bit confusing in Iowa, number one. But let's assume it was everything was exactly right in Iowa. The idea that you come in with about half the delegates that the leaders come in with in Iowa does not necessarily say how you're going to win Pennsylvania, how you're going to win Michigan, where, by the way, the Black Caucus of the Michigan.
All right, so that doesn't matter. But she ended up getting pissed off about it, made a huge deal about it. Washington Post reported it. And I don't know. I mean, you would think that it just seems to me that they're making a big deal, a mountain out of a molehill. The big news is that this guy can't do anything right when it comes to these to the first caucus and to this primary. And if you're Bernie freaking Sanders and Pete Buttigieg and to a lesser extent Amy Klobuchar, holy crap! Here we go. On to South Carolina. All right. I talked about how there's a lot of inflammatory things to talk about today. This one in particular really pisses me off because I couldn't believe it. It was a story last April where a dude was at the working at his car dealership somewhere in Grand Rapids, and some loudmouth bitch shows up and says, "Hey, I'd like to get see what I could get on a trade for this car." So the guy goes, he goes back into the office, and he comes back and throws her a number that the dealership would be willing to give her for a trade. And she called him the N-word, smacked the shit out of him, and went crazy on the guy because she wasn't happy with the number. Well, this story blew up, and it made me feel really bad for this guy and his family. And back in September, the judge said she was not guilty of ethnic intimidation, which I don't know how the hell can you not be convicted of ethnic intimidation when you out of the blue assault someone and call them the N-word. What do you have to do to be engaging in ethnic intimidation? I don't understand it. No one does. So this shit show judge here in Grand Rapids made that decision. But the lady still was convicted of, I believe, assault and battery, and she had to be sentenced, and not a damn thing's going to happen to this crazy bitch. Check this out.
A woman who used racial slurs while assaulting an African-American man was found not guilty of ethnic intimidation, and today she learned that she's not going to jail. New tonight, we're hearing from the victim who tells the court how the incident from April continues to impact his life. News 8's Barton Dieters is in studio control with this story tonight. Barton?
Well, Brian, in December, Terrence Smith was joined in outrage by members of the black community when Shelley Hickel was found not guilty of ethnic intimidation, even after she repeatedly used the most extreme racial epithets when repeatedly slapping Terrence Smith.
Now, listen, I want you all to know that hold on.
You can legislature just endorse me in spite of all of this.
Now we're hearing Joe Biden. That's great. I'm going to have to start that clip over and cue it in a second. I just want it to be perfectly clear that I can never be accused of one side or the other. It's all about listening to the facts and deciding, because I have played several stories where people have cried racism, and I've said, bullshit, that's not racism. You're playing the race card. This is not playing the race card. This poor guy was doing his job, and some sick, redneck, white whore approached him and did something terrible to him. And it's really screwed with his head. And I feel so bad for this guy. And I just wanted to make that
A woman
clear.
who used...
That same judge decided she would avoid jail for the assault.
People can disagree with me about it. Lawyers can disagree with me about it. That's fine. But it is a very technical statute.
Sullivan
continued. He needs to explain it more. I need to hear more of the rationale by this piece of shit judge who has decided to not it was involved with her being not guilty of ethnic intimidation. I need to know more.
Need to explain why he decided after a September trial that Hickel was not guilty of ethnic intimidation. He said the statute is very specific, and he believed that the Berry County woman was only upset about the appraisal she was given on her car at a Lowell auto dealership.
Agreed, idiot. Of course she was upset. We agree there. Who cares about what she was upset about? That shouldn't be justifiable in treating someone that way.
He also said that the fact that Hickel has had mental health treatment for more than 2 decades explains her actions, although it does not excuse them.
Bullshit. This is all bullshit.
But this was clearly an assault and battery. You had no right to do what you did. You did it in a very bad way. You were offensive, not just physically, but verbally.
Smith tried to explain to the judge how serious the actions against him were.
This is the dude who got slapped. He's really having a hard time. Check this out.
I have to raise a 6-year-old son in a place where a person can degrade me and physically assault me.
He said he lost his job as a result.
Wow.
And then lost income.
Wonderful.
I pray that I become the happy-go-lucky person. Prior to this incident, this aftermath, I pray that I become the husband and dad that I once was.
Smith said he wanted her case to show people that they can't get away with what she did.
Yes.
I ask that Shelley Hickel gets the maximum time allowed.
What the assailant did get was probation, and if she violates that probation, she would face at maximum 45 days in jail. After the hearing, I talked to Smith, who was disheartened and disappointed. In studio control, Martin Dieters, News 8.
Yeah, this is ridiculous, from top to bottom. Thinking that this guy just started his day back in last April, with just gonna sell another car, just do his thing, do his day-to-day job, and this sick bitch does that. And then it's been nothing but negative things in his poor life for that amount of time. That really upsets me. I hate that. The Open is brought to you by my friends at TC Paintball, online at tcpaintball.com. Book a party at TC Paintball in Grand Rapids. Workplace, got the kids getting together. I know some of the schools have that midwinter break. I know in Jenison here that's the case. I think today is the last day. So you got, let's see, today is Wednesday. The kids got Thursday, Friday, Monday off. Get on the horn to TC Paintball and get a group of your bro friends together. Book a party. Thursdays is the Little League, 5 p.m. is when it gets started for 8 to 11-year-olds. Low velocity guns. They don't hurt. Boys had a lot of fun. TC Paintball. We have a party tonight, TC Paintball War number 7. Up to the last minute, you can get on board with that. Just reach out to me, and I will see you there at TC Paintball tonight for a 6 p.m. start to Paintball War number 7. Thank you to TC Paintball for being on board with the show. As well, the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage, key major sponsor of the Eric Zane Show podcast. Thank you. Make Mario's phone ring. I don't know if he's going to answer it right now. He might be jet setting in Florida with the other real estate or mortgage moguls at 213-332-6505. But you can at least talk to Annette. She's basically the power behind the throne. She's basically in charge of 1,000,001 things there over at the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage. Do get your mortgage secured before you start looking for a home, all right? And do it with this team. 213-332-6505. Now, you must make sure that it's the Mario Flores team of Van Dyke Mortgage because, you know, there are several different branches of Van Dyke Mortgage, but this one in particular is the ones that came to me, and I want you to consider them if you need to get a mortgage, okay? Even if you're looking for a house and someone says, yeah, use this mortgage company. No. You have a mortgage company. It's the Mario Flores Lakeshore team of Van Dyke Mortgage. They will do an awesome job for you, and thank you to them. Okay, Pam Anderson, remember her? Is batshit crazy. Now, I don't know her, obviously, but this sure seems strange. Not long ago, like 2 weeks ago, Pam got married. She's been married many times. Tommy Lee, Kid Rock. There might be a few more in there that I'm not familiar with or don't remember, don't care. And, all right. It happens. Famous people get married all the time. About 2 weeks ago, she married a really, really rich guy. He is known as a movie mogul. Not exactly sure how he's made his money, but his name is John Peters. Peters is an older dude, film producer, 74 years old. Pam is 52. After less than 2 weeks, Pam filed for divorce. And this guy is having a come to Jesus with himself. He's talking to People Magazine, is John Peters. John Peters claims Pam Anderson married him to pay off her bills. What? He says, quote, I am an old fool. Wow. On February 1st, Pamela Anderson announced she had split from her new husband. He is now sharing his side of the story after the breakup of his 12-day marriage to Pam Anderson. My God. He told the New York Post that Pam actually proposed to him over text. Quote, needless to say that when she texted me that she wanted to get married, it was kind of a dream come true. Even though I was engaged to someone else. And she, the other woman, was moving in. Oh, God. Man, 74 years old. You're someone else is moving in, you're engaged, and just because Pam Anderson comes banging on your door, you call it. You deserve this, you stupid asshole. He also alleges that Anderson married him to pay off her debts. I dropped everything for Pam, he claimed. According to Page 6, she had nearly $200,000 in bills and no way to pay it. So I paid it, and this is the thanks I get. I wonder if he maybe, did he even get a hand job or anything? Did she have to have sex with him? I think he needs to make that clear. Dude says there's no fool like an old fool. Yeah, with money. A fool with money. What is that? Isn't that a song? A fool and his money soon go separate ways? What song is that from? In response to Peter's allegations, a rep for Anderson told People, these claims are not only entirely fabricated, they are ludicrous. Despite Mr. Peters' scurrilous and ongoing efforts to elicit a response from Ms. Anderson, she has no comment to provide and hopes he is well. Oh, boy. Man. Anderson announced to The Hollywood Reporter on February 1st that she and Peters had split less than 2 weeks after their secret wedding. A source has since told People magazine that the two had not yet filed the legal paperwork for a marriage certificate after their January 20th nuptials. An insider also previously told People that Anderson decided to call off the marriage because she, quote, just needed to take a step back. Although they have known each other for more than 30 years, they had never lived together, the insider said. Living with someone, you truly get to know them. Pam's a romantic, but she is also very independent. This all moved a bit fast, so they both agreed to put it off. Oh, my God. What a mess. Okay, here's the roster. Anderson was married to Tommy Lee. She's got sons Brandon and Dylan. Remember when Kid Rock got in that fist fight with Tommy Lee at some award ceremony? They were married from 1995 to 1998. She married and divorced Kid Rock in 2006, and also married and divorced Rick Sullivan twice in 2007 and 2013. 2013. No one says 2013. Peters is known because he produced both Barbra Streisand's A Star is Born in '76 and the 2018 remake with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. Man. JM Synthetics, they sell AmSoil synthetic oil. I said AmSoil, but it's AmSoil. All right. JM Synthetics, local business distributor of AmSoil, 616-747-0233. If you use AmSoil, and you should, some of you people do your own oil changes, you need oil, that's where you go. JM Synthetics, 616-747-0233. Jason's got some deal, I forget what it is. If you put my name in the comments, he's going to give you like a free fuel additive or some deal. He's got something cooking there. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. 616-747-0233. The managed IT service provider, as you know, is Blue Frost IT, for crying out loud. They are the best, man. #1 in West Michigan. I said so right here on this podcast. For small and medium-sized business, you need Blue Frost IT. Their number is 616-200-8550. Get your business up to snuff with the appropriate servicing for all of your IT needs. Thank you to Blue Frost IT. Please keep them in mind. 25 years since Irvine's went into business. Irvine's Auto Repair, Grand Rapids Hybrid. I think Megan was 1 when they went in business. There you go. How about that? Irvines.com. Servicing all domestic, all Asian, BMWs, and Minis. Okay? Since it's the 25-year celebration, they're encouraging you to just drop by and say hi. If you're a listener of the podcast, you happen to drive by the street Stafford, 44th Street, just east of 131, pull in, say, hey, thank you for supporting Eric's podcast so that he can do the podcast every day. You're a big part of it. They'll probably throw a T-shirt or something fun your way. Bruce is the master of Dutch rudders there. He might help you out in that regard, but probably not. Just the fact that the whole family gathered around the computer when I said that Bruce is offering free Dutch rudders. Bruce is one of the expert techs there, and they didn't know what that was, and they looked it up, and they read it out loud to him in front of everybody. It was one of the funniest things I've heard all week. Guess who is in trouble again? We thought it was over, but no. Jussie Smollett. Remember Jussie Smollett? Yes, it's not over. He's facing 6 new charges in Chicago. If you remember, they were all dropped Well, and no one knew why. Well, we all knew why. The prosecutor was in on it. And the police were like, look, we're going to bring this back around. And, well, it's happening right now. If you recall, out of the blue, this dude who had everything going for him, he was an actor that I'd never heard of him, but still he had a great job on the show Empire. He might even be on that show still. I have no idea. It's how little I care about this guy. But also he's a great performer, singer, songwriter, that type of stuff. Not my style of music, but he's very, very good. So out of the blue, this dumb dick decides to say that he was a victim of some type of racial attack. It didn't happen. He had a couple of pals make it seem that way, and they didn't fit the description of white guys wearing MAGA hats, which is what he claimed happened. That did not happen. And that story, how it unfolded, it was absolutely a spectacular time as that story just came apart. Remember, he was on with Robin Roberts crying, saying he was attacked by angry white dudes. Couldn't have been further from the truth. What an asshole. Now, a grand jury has returned a 6-count indictment on this piece of shit, accusing Jussie Smollett of lying to Chicago police when he reported the racist and homophobic attack last year. This from a special prosecutor yesterday. 6 counts he's facing of disorderly conduct. The special prosecutor is a guy named Dan Webb. The first charges were dropped the following month with little explanation, angering the cops and then Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Tina Glandian, Armenian, Smollett's attorney, that makes me sad, did not immediately return a call for comment on Tuesday. Talks a little bit about what I already talked to you about, the backstory. A judge in August appointed this Dan Webb guy, who was a former U.S. attorney, as a special prosecutor, to look into why the original charges were dropped. A lot of people asked that question. Webb also was looking into whether calls that Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx had with a Smollett relative, the relationship and an ex-aide of former First Lady Michelle Obama, unduly influenced the decision to drop the charges. A lot of people say yes. Fox recused herself from the case but continued to weigh in. The city has sued Smollett, seeking reimbursement of more than $130,000 for overtime paid to officers who were involved in investigating the bogus report. Smollett's attorneys have said the city should not be allowed to recover costs from Smollett because it accepted $10,000 from the actor as payment in connection with the dismissal of the charges against him. Smollett's case has become an issue in Fox's bid for a second term. Her opponents have pointed to the case as indicating she has had bad judgment and favors the rich and powerful in deciding who will be prosecuted. And I think that that's hard to escape. And if you're Jussie Smollett, obviously he hasn't done shit work-wise in the entertainment industry. I mean, how do you just the fact that he would say, yeah, I mean, if you're walking down the street and like, yeah, let's go get tickets for the Jussie Smollett show. I mean, that is a punchline. How does this guy ever get work again? Was it worth it for you? I would love to have a moment with this guy and just ask him the tough questions. Like, what were you thinking? How do you think this is going to go? Why should anyone care about you going forward? Do you think you receive special treatment? What do you have to say to people who believed you? What do you have to say to all the people who what do you have to say to white people who support Trump? You're walking or have in this fantasy world, you have MAGA hat wearing white dudes beating the shit out of you. That didn't happen. Didn't he say they poured bleach on him or some shit? And they had a noose. That was the story. MAGA hat wearing guy in the middle of nowhere, Chicago, in the middle of the night, is going to pull over, recognize you from a show that there's no way a MAGA hat wearing guy would ever watch. Oh, by the way, I'm carrying a noose with a bottle of bleach. What the fuck? My God, it pisses me off. All right, I need some notes here for this next one because I want to make sure I get this right. I wasn't prepared entirely in an appropriate fashion when I talked about my friends from Horizon Hydroponics the last time I spoke of them. But look, All you need to know, first of all, is that their website, hydro.com. It'll take you right to theirs. That is where a lot of people are buying their stuff for indoor gardening online, and then they either have it mailed to them or that you can buy it online and pick up. That's a new aspect of their business that they want to stress. Or you can just go to any one of the 4 locations here in West Michigan and check it all out for yourself. Some people like to shop that way. I guess it's all whatever you want. But for everything on the indoor gardening side of things, you need to call upon Horizon Hydroponics. For 20 years, they have built their business catering to the indoor gardener, whatever it is you are growing. Horizon Hydroponics wants to be the source. They work, it isn't just you go there and buy stuff. They have the expertise with more than 30 employees, all very knowledgeable in the field about the beauty and the glory of indoor gardening. In fact, if you call them at 866-791-1664, they can point you in the right direction over the phone. Now, a lot of what they talk about and what they do at Horizon Hydroponics, there's so much to talk about. I've got a laundry list of things. It's probably going to take me 3 years to get it all down. But I could just pick any one of these key things that they stress at Horizon Hydroponics, and that means something to the indoor gardener. First of all, let me talk about this, because a lot of people are like, well, yeah, all they do is they help you grow cannabis. That is not the case. There is so much to them. They work with the community. They are what they do is they have a team of, like I said, 30 employees who work very hard. John has they've worked with schools from elementary, middle, high school, and colleges. John's spoken about Hydroponics 101 to over 50 groups, including the Orchid Society, MSU Gardening Extension Program, and cannabis groups. So, yes, they do that, but they've taught classes and installed and maintained hydroponic systems in several local schools, including John Ball Zoo and Kelloggsville Middle School, Northern Trails, Forest Hills, to name a few. And it says that they are commissioned by a university to oversee the hydroponic display at the Grand Rapids Public Museum during their Mission to Mars exhibit that they had just a few years ago. So there's a lot more to Horizon Hydroponics that I may have alluded to the first time I spoke of them. If you want more information, call them at 866-791-1664. If you're gardening indoors, Horizon Hydroponics. Thank you to them for sponsoring the show. All right. Tax time is near. Tag Accounting. Don't forget the number, 616-301-9516. 616-301-9516. Troy wants to do your taxes and quit. You've been putting it off, but there's still time. I know. We're getting closer and closer to the date. You can get it done, but you must call Troy and say, hey, Zane told me to call and get the ball rolling on my taxes. What do I need to do? This is anyone in the USA. Doesn't matter where you are. Troy can help you. 616-301-9516. I got a story about a lost dog for many, many years. Found. I love this story. That's coming up in just a bit. But before we do that, okay, I saw this headline. The coronavirus. They actually just changed the name of it, and I don't remember what it is. It's weird. I'll have to look it up to remember it, but I think the World Health Organization actually changed the name of coronavirus. Like I've talked to you about, I'm starting to come around to the hype on this deadly disease. Am I an idiot? I mean, it's been growing at an exponential rate. It's past SARS now. It's a little scary. Every day there's not only is there more people affected, but the percentage is growing, and the death toll continues to rise. So I'm not going to lie to you, I feel a little sheepish about my poo-pooing it in the first place. I'm starting to become a full-blown coronavirus fanatic, and this story doesn't help, as they talked about how on the news the health department has quarantined people that just landed here in West Michigan who showed up from China.
In Kent County are under voluntary quarantine for the coronavirus. Tonight, the health department is keeping a close eye on them. News 8's Emily Leonard is at the live desk right now with more on the monitoring. Emily.
Well, Sue, they just arrived back from China on Sunday, and none of them are sick. The CDC considers them medium risk for the virus because they were in China's mainland. The Kent County Health Department says a 14-day monitoring period is now underway. Under the new system enacted this month by the CDC, the 3 people are voluntarily in-home quarantine, so each person is doing daily health checks. The health department is keeping track of the results.
Wow.
At this point, is there any reason to be concerned about these individuals?
No, at this point, there's not. This is why we do our job. They're under self-quarantine just in case, they do develop symptoms. We want to be able to identify that quickly.
So anyone being considered high risk for the coronavirus is being quarantined in the city or the county that they flew into. There are still no positive cases here in Michigan. At the live desk, Emily Leonard, News 8.
Now, prior to this, there was 13 people, I believe, who have been diagnosed with it in the U.S. Only 13, and none of them got really that sick. I did learn that. They had it, but it wasn't a big deal at all, and that's important to keep in mind, too. But I have, in fact, listener John from Jenison, his better half, his lovely wife, is from China. And he told me that his in-laws and family, his extended family over there, I think he goes there like once a year to visit, they all bugged out. They're not in the area, the same province where Wuhan is, or Wuhan, but they like headed up to the country to get to a place far away, just in case. Oh, my God. All right, some good news. Dog found. First of all, let me just say, dog lost is Eric's nightmare. By the way, Benny is getting operated on today. Yeah, you know what? It wouldn't be a normal week if I didn't have an enormous vet bill, Oh, my God. Side note to that, so tons of tangents here. Remember I told you it costs $600 to get a heartworm and flea medication for all these dogs? Well, the medicine shows up, and there's only half of it. I was supposed to have 4 boxes of heartworm medication and 4 boxes of flea and tick medication. And it was only that medicine for 2 of the 4 dogs. And I'm like, what the hell happened? I ordered 4 boxes. I called Chewy.com. They go, yeah, we couldn't send them. I go, why? They go, because it says here that 2 of your dogs need to go get a vet examination. I'm like, oh, God. So the vet didn't okay it. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So that means... You guessed it. I think it was ONeal and Daisy. You have to go there and get a fecal exam. You literally have to go and get a pile of shit and bring a shit bag to the vet so that they can examine it to make sure that the dog doesn't currently have heartworm, which they'll be fine. They won't. So that then they can give it the preventative medicine. So I'm like, great. So that's probably going to be, we're looking for those 2 dogs, that examination, plus any other updates to their vaccines. Oh, probably about 6 more bills for that. And then I'll be recharged for the medicine. So that'll be another 3 bills for that. On top of that, Benny's getting operated on to get that growth off his belly removed today. So I imagine that'll be about another $15,000. More sponsors. We need more sponsors. I want this to be an 8-hour podcast just so that I can eat. All right. This lady in Minnesota loses her dog. Forget the name of the dog. Hazel? Yeah, it was Hazel. I love that name, by the way. Hazel comes up missing 3 years ago. What the hell happened to Hazel? Listen to this.
There's good news tonight about a dog lost, now found, and the surprising way the reunion came about. It all started with a can of beer. A Florida brewery putting shelter dogs on their cans to raise awareness of adoptable pets. The story on it went viral.
A company that's doing something really cool. They're helping dogs get rescued by putting pictures of them on their beer cans.
Ellen's talking about it. She's probably going to then raise money for the kid. Give $20,000 to the long hair kid.
Where halfway across the country, in Minnesota, Monica Mathis saw it on Facebook and recognized the familiar face.
Gosh, this looks like my dog. I really think this might be my dog.
I didn't know Jackie Manvoice lived in Minnesota now.
Her beloved dog, Hazel, who she'd raised as a puppy, had gone missing 3 years earlier. Monica thought she was gone forever.
Wow.
It was devastating to not know where your pet is or what's happened to them.
She immediately called the Manatee County Animal Shelter to inquire about the dog they called Day Day. They confirmed Day Day was Monica's Hazel.
You're so cute and happy.
I was crying. I mean, I was crying. I
You
was
got to see this dog. His dog's like rolling on his back, totally in a good mood all the time.
ecstatic. I was shaking.
Gonna go on a trip?
So this week, shelter employee Hans Wogelfart left Florida to
Hans Wogelfart?
The 1,600-mile journey to reunite Hazel with Monica in St. Paul.
We have just started our trip. Happy to be off the road a little bit, huh? We're gonna go home to your mom. Yeah. We've had a long day on the road. We are gonna be reuniting Hazel with her mama tomorrow. Spending
I
this
bet
time
you this guy keeps Hazel in the hotel room while he goes to the gay bar.
with Hazel was a great way to say goodbye to her before we take her to her family.
All right, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
You guys, she's pulling up.
Hazel, you're home.
Yeah. And after 3 days on the road, the reunion.
Guy's like, yeah, I got peanut butter on my dick.
In 3 years in the making.
We had to pass the time in the hotel room.
Returned to the family who thought they lost her, but never stopped loving her.
Thank you, hon, so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Brought together
Yeah, if this happened to me, I'd be like,
by a caring stranger. Good luck. And that can of beer.
I've gotten the greatest gift in the world.
if
to
ONeal
have
went
her
missing
home.
and I saw ONeal on a can of beer, I'd call the shelter and say, yeah, I think this is my dog. And they'll be like, yeah? Well, can you describe him? Well, he eats shit. Yeah, that's him. Come get him. We found your dog. What's his name? ONeal. We call him Shit Eater. He's looking at me like I'm some kind of asshole right now. All right, I'm glad you got the dog. Yeah, that's the thing, 3 years. How does the dog get from Minnesota to Florida? And you will never know, but I mean that's outstanding. How does that even take place? I often wonder what happened to ONeal when he was a puppy. I think it was someone in Kentucky had ONeal. And then somebody went and took ONeal and the litter from the asshole who had him, the guy who cut off ONeal's tail, who didn't do a good job of it. And I don't know why they felt the need to crop it anyway. He had like a typical German Shepherd's tail for a period of time. Now here he is. Same thing with Benny. I often wonder what the hell happened to that dog. How he was treated, because he seems like he's got PTSD. And ONeal, that's probably why they cut off his tail, was because he was eating shit in the first place. I have an update on the story from Saline, Michigan. Do you remember the story where the guy said, yeah, well, why didn't you just go back to, or why didn't you stay in Mexico at the school meeting from like a week and a half ago? There's an update to that, and it's ugly. It's getting worse. Perfect timing. Joe Martinez from A&E Heating and Cooling. I'm guessing he doesn't like that story, but he is one of our amazing Mexican-American citizens who does an amazing job making sure that your heating and cooling system works the way it's supposed to. I just saw a terrible story about a dog that passed out in a home, and then somebody said, get out of the house. You're leaking carbon monoxide, and it was true. The dog was affected first. And then they said the easiest way to make sure that your system is up and running is to get it checked and cleaned yearly. A&E Heating and Cooling does that. That's part of the maintenance program that I am on and what a number of the Zane Show listeners are on. A&E Heating and Cooling, 616-516-8579. You've got a humidifier on sale for $100 off. Just get it for $515 when you mention my show. And military, retired, and active. Active and retired military is how I should have said that. Get 15% off any service, as do our senior citizens. Thank you, Joe, for being on board with the show at 616-516-8579. Terrytown RV, that's where you go for a camper, trailer, I should say travel trailer, fifth wheel, motorhome, pop-up, whatever it may be, just to get you outdoors. If you're like, yeah, I just know I can't afford it. You don't know anything. Trust me. Let them work their magic. They want you out experiencing the outdoors, okay? You want to be in a camper. Screw that tent nonsense. Just show up to the site, push a button, the awning's out, you're drinking beer, okay? You're by the fire. You're rolling a big fat one right there. TerrytownRV.com. That's who you need to reach out to. I'll meet you there. They are on Division between 68th and 76th Street. You don't have to shop outdoors. They got an indoor showroom with more than 200 units available. All right? Terrytown RV, the biggest in Michigan and the Midwest. Number one with a bullet. Please mention my name if you're even thinking about buying a travel trailer, fifth wheel, motorhome, camper, whatever it may be. Mention my name at Terrytown RV. Okay, last story for you. This is, like I indicated, from Saline, Michigan. It's an update on that awful scenario. Apparently, this all came to light because some asshole kids were saying racist things on Snapchat about the dude from Mexico who was speaking. Remember that? Which is insane. Well, those kids got in trouble. And now those racist kids are suing the school because they said they should have been allowed to say whatever the hell they want, the right to free speech, since it wasn't on school property. Check this shit out.
The national spotlight after a parent asked another parent why he didn't stay in Mexico. Now this lawsuit shedding some light on the tension leading up to that moment.
And why didn't you stay in Mexico?
This moment all stems from a group of students posting racist messages about black classmates on Snapchat. Now, 4 of those students who posted the messages are suing the Saline school system. The lawsuit states because the Snapchats did not occur on school grounds, but on private property, the students should not have been suspended, alleging the students' rights were violated.
If I'm the teacher, or if I'm an administrator, I might back off of suspending them and say, you know, you're right. You are right. And then I would publicly indict them in public opinion and say, you know, yeah, I may have acted, I may have overstepped my what I'm supposed to do. You're right. But I can tell the world that you and your family are racist assholes. And I would take screenshots of their shitty things they said, and I'd post them all over the school. I'd buy billboards with the names of the racist asshole kids. Yeah, you're right. You have your right to say whatever you want. I have my right to say whatever I want. These people are racist pieces of shit. And really lay it on thick just to see how far that would go. My God.
The national spotlight after a parent asked...
Oops. Okay, hold on a second here. Everything.
Huh.
Let me start over.
The national...
Did you stay in Mexico?
This moment all stems from a group of students posting racist messages about black classmates on Snapchat. Now, 4 of those students who posted the messages are suing the Saline school system. The lawsuit states because the Snapchats did not occur on school grounds, but on private property, the students should not have been suspended, alleging the students' rights were violated. This Saline High School senior says he was the target of one of those messages.
I never thought in a million years I would be called, you know, the N-word. This is my first time ever experiencing race, like racial, you know, slurs towards me or senator.
Is this guy related to Mike Tyson?
The national...
From teammates? From teammates, yes. I hurt my feelings and scarred me for life.
Now other students are coming to his defense and the defense of others, creating a list of demands for administrators.
He shouldn't be made fun of for his race. He should be made fun of for his speech impediment.
Including a formal
what is wrong with me?
way to report hate speech, a more diverse workforce within the school system, and diversity training for teachers, staff, and administrators. Students want these changes to be made within the next 2 months.
I'm a junior, so I'm here for another year, but
there's another black kid.
I want that to happen as soon as possible. I want that change now.
The Saline School Board plans on holding more meetings regarding race and open discussions about race within the next 2 weeks. Allie Hoxie, 7 Action News.
All right. Well, that's just shitty. the boldness at which the things that people do, and they have no idea how terrible they look to think that, yeah, this is the way you act, this is the way you treat people. It's lost on me. I don't know. It is usually Bleeding Heart Brian who says, you see, this all happens because of the president. I still refuse to believe that. I still believe that these things are happening at the same rate that they happened any other year. I don't think that he claims that the president is making people racist. He's claiming that the president is doing things that makes them do what they do. I don't believe that for a second. They've always been assholes. They've always done stupid things. It's talked about a hell of a lot more now because of that. All right, folks, that's it. I got to keep it short because I got to work a second job today, tomorrow, and Friday, and then that's it. So I appreciate your patience. I still think we packed a lot into this show. You are awesome. I appreciate your support. Throw me 5 stars, would you? I'd love that. I'm on Cameo, cameo.com/Eric Zane. If you want me to do the Valentine's thing for a loved one, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Do it. Go to cameo.com/Eric Zane. Hire me, just $15. You know, so-and-so loves you. He loves you so much, he's having me tell you that. Let's try to get 5 Valentine's cameos today alone. I haven't done a cameo in like 2 months. Probably because I don't mention it as much. Cameo.com/Eric Zane. Thank you. All right, folks. Talk to you down the road. Patreon is next. Bye-bye.